In this lesson, we will finish the muscle's squash and stretch system. It's now time to build the expression, so the formula is as follows. We need to take the distance between start and end, and we need to divide that by the change in distance, or the distance delta. So that's going to be 60 divided by len, right? Let's now go ahead and evaluate this and test it out. As we start to move our end controller, take a look at what happens to the x-axis of our helper. You can see that we now start to keep volume. Sweet! We could also use the start helper and test it out. Fantastic, but here's what's not so great. When we grab the global node, as we start to resize it, you can see we still get a squash and stretch because we haven't factored in this control. Nor have we factored in the parameter that we'll use to change the squash and stretch behavior, which of course, in this case, is b factor. Now we can use the power function to have that happen. Let's go ahead and finish this up. I'll go ahead and grab the end helper and the start helper. Let's go ahead and use transform to 0 to bring them back. And now we can basically go ahead and get back to helper B. Let's say we go ahead and jump back to our expression, and we'll finish this out. So the first thing we'll do is go ahead and take 60, and we'll multiply by our global node. So that's going to be global times 60. And keep in mind, right now the global scale is set to 1, so we're just multiplying 1 by 60. If we do this correctly, the muscle should not change in size when we evaluate our code. Let's go ahead and test this out. So when we choose evaluate, notice no change in size. Fantastic. All right, so to finish this out, we'll now go ahead and concatenate everything. Let's go ahead and put everything in parentheses. So after len, we'll put a close parentheses, and before global, we'll add another open parentheses. Now before all of this, we'll go ahead and type in pow for our power function, and then right after len, we'll add a comma, space, and then b underscore factor. Sweet. And by the way, if you're ever having trouble with the function that you use right here in the expression controller, just go ahead and choose the function list, and now you have a list of functions that you can work with. And here is our power function, and here's the syntax for it. Sweet. I'll go ahead and close this out. We'll now go ahead and choose evaluate and test this. Let's go ahead and see what happens as we start to use our controls, as we start to change their positions. You'll notice that there's no squash and stretch. Keep in mind that this is actually working correctly. If we were to go ahead and jump back to our global node and go to the modify panel, right now our b factor property is set to 0. So this is how we would turn off the squash and stretch. Let's go ahead and set this to 1. Now watch, as we start to use our controls, you'll notice that we get the squash and stretch. How cool. Here's what I'd recommend doing. Let's go ahead and jump back to our global node. We'll go ahead and set the a factor and the c factor to 0.5, because remember, they should not squash and stretch as much as b. We're going to get more of that in the center of the muscle, right? Fantastic stuff. So now all we need to do is go ahead and copy and paste our expression, and we'll be good to go. You'll see that the scale is working just fine. I'll go ahead and grab the scale gizmo. We'll start to test this out. Notice everything scales uniformly. Sweet. So I'll go ahead and jump back to the expression. Let's go ahead and highlight the x-axis and choose properties. Let's go ahead and highlight everything here. We'll use the same expression for the y-axis. Sweet. Let's go ahead and paste. Remember, we can't evaluate just yet because we haven't assigned our controllers. So let's say we go ahead and create our variables to take care of that step. So that's going to be global. We'll choose create. The next will be len. And then just one more, right? That's going to be b underscore factor. Let's go to now choose create. Assign to controller. I have b factor highlighted, so let's go ahead and search for that. Underneath muscle global, we'll expand the inside of that to get to modified object, extra controls, custom attributes, and here it is. So that's one down. Let's go to global next. I might go ahead and collapse the modified object property so we can get to the transform list a little bit easier. And there's the z-axis. Sweet, just one more. This time we'll need to expand the outside of muscle global to get to its child objects. and here is the expose node. And there's object, and here's distance. Let's go ahead and choose OK. So now we can go ahead and evaluate this. Notice no errors. Let's go ahead and test this out as we start to use our controls. You'll notice that everything is working just fine. Fantastic stuff. So that's what we need to do for the other helpers. And remember to test out your global scale. Fantastic. Now once we attach this to our control rig, we need to make sure to factor in the control rig's global node. So we'll need to edit our expression once we get the character involved, but we'll do that. We'll go ahead and take care of that step because it's really simple. All right, let's say we go ahead and get to the other helpers. I might go ahead and take care of just one more because it's really straightforward. Let's say we go ahead and work on A. We'll jump to the x-axis. We'll assign our float expression controller. Let's go ahead and paste in our code. Remember, this time we need to use the A factor, right? Really simple. Let's go ahead and copy our code here because we'll need to use it for the y-axis. And now we'll go ahead and create our variables. So that's global, that's len, and this time it's A factor, A underscore factor. Now we could go ahead and assign our controllers. So let's go ahead and search for A factor. There's modified object, A. Nice. Really straightforward, right? Let's go ahead and now search for the global node scale, scale Z, and then len. Where are you, len? There we go. All right, so we can now go ahead and evaluate this. I'll go ahead and now move to the y-axis. Let's go ahead and take care of that before we test this out. So we'll go ahead and paste in our code, and that's going to be global, create, len, create, and A factor. Sweet. All right, so it's time to assign our controllers. So there's A factor. How about global? There we go. And just one more. Keep in mind that we want to take our time during this process because it's very easy to overlook a step. So no need to rush. We just want to make sure everything's working just fine. And then once you get the hang of this, then you could start to speed up your workflow a bit more. So you can see everything's working just fine. We're getting half the amount of squash and stretch in A that we receive in B. Sweet. All right, so I'll go ahead and leave this last one up to you. And in the next lesson, we'll go ahead and do some cleanup work on our muscle.